From Sac-Joaquin Section Headquarters in Lodi, California, it's the 2012 Football Playoff Preview Show, brought to you by your destination for high school sports and the Sac-Joaquin Section Championships, playonsports.com. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. Sorry we're getting a little bit of a later start than we anticipated. I'm Jeff Kurtz alongside my colleague Joey Gonzalez. We've been waiting for some afternoon games to finish up here in the Sac-Joaquin section. The committee was meeting throughout the morning and into the afternoon to get the seedings all set for Divisions 1 through 6, and we're happy to bring them to you here on playonsports.com, our first year providing live coverage of Sac-Joaquin Section Championship events. And Joey, we've done a number of regular season games as well, so folks who have an opportunity after we announce the brackets, you want to check out some of the teams who are going to be involved, you can go right to our website on CIF Sac-Joaquin.tv or on playonsports.com under the state of California and search for your favorite highlights and check out your potential opponent or some of the other schools that are going to be participating. It should be an outstanding round of playoffs again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. We had so great games last night. Typically, Oak Ridge and Jesuit. It was some games with playoff implications, but obviously fans can go on there. You can check out teams such as Oak Ridge, Folsom on there, Del Oro, Granite Bay. So it's going to be a lot of fun here. I like to liken it to playoff madness here for in November.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of ways you can interact with us, folks, over the course of this broadcast. We've got our Twitter feed up. You can go ahead and subscribe to that and send us some questions. We'll be talking to some of the folks here at Sac-Joaquin Section Headquarters about how they seeded these teams. You can become a fan of us on Facebook. Go ahead and like our page. You can go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We're going to have a host of playoff and championship events, not only in football, but in other sports, water polo, soccer, girls volleyball. We'll be covering all those events live, cross-country, tennis, golf with highlights, and then, of course, the football championships as well. But what you're here for today is football, and let's get into that, folks, with our no frills, just give you the meat. We're going to ditch the condiments. We're going to ditch the bun. We're going to go right to the meat of the thing, and we're going to start out with Division 6, work our way up to Division 1, let you know what teams got in, what they're seeded, and what the matchups are going to be in the first round. And again, starting with Division 6, I will take all the even-number divisions. Joey will be taking all the odd-number divisions. The teams that get in Division 6, the number 1 seed is going to be Forest Hill this year. 2 seed is Brookside Christian. The number 3 seed, Woodland Christian. The 4 seed, Ripon Christian. The 5 seed is Elliott Christian. And the 6 seed is Big Valley Christian. And we'll go ahead and put our graphic up on the board that'll show you the matchups for those particular games. And you can see the 4 and 5 game, Ripon Christian, Elliott Christian. The winner of that one will be playing Forest Hill. Meanwhile, the 3-6 game, Woodland Christian and Big Valley Christian, the winner of that one will play Brookside Christian. Forest Hill made the championship game last year in Division 6, losing in that particular championship game. They fell to Bradshaw Christian, who has moved up to Division 5 this year. Brookside Christian actually won this 2 years ago and ended up with a state bowl appearance out of that as well. So those are the 2 schools that have seen championship games over the last few years in Division 6. And now we'll go to Joey Gonzalez with Division 5.
Well, so starting off, the top seed here in Division 5 football in the Sac-Joaquin section is Waterford with the number 1 seed. Number 2 seed is Golden Sierra. They will have first week buys. The number 3 seed is going to be LeGrand. Number 4 seed is Highlands. Number 5, Bradshaw Christian. And then wrapping up this bracket will be number 6 seed, Rio Vista. So shortly we'll have the bracket up, or you should be able to see the brackets up here on your screen. And you can see the first round will be the number 4 and number 5 seed, Highlands hosting Bradshaw Christian in the first round there. And then down in the lower bracket, half of the bracket, LeGrand will be hosting Rio Vista. LeGrand won this section actually last year, so LeGrand getting all the way down to the state bowl game, and LeGrand coming out of there with some great championship experience.
Yeah, LeGrand's actually won the last 2 years, had to beat Highlands to do it. And then Highlands Bradshaw Christian, who were a first-round matchup, they actually played during the regular season, right. A game we actually covered here on playonsports.com and CIF Sac-Joaquin.tv, so you can check out that action. And that game from the regular season as they prepare to meet in the first round. Now we go to Division 4. And we've got a lot of teams to talk about here because the brackets expand from 6 teams to 16. And that's the way it is for Divisions 1 through 4 the rest of the way. The number 1 seed in Division 4 is going to be Placer. The 2 seed is Argonaut. 3 seed is Ripon. The 4 seed, Capital Christian. The 5 seed, that's Los Banos. The 6 seed is Central Catholic. 7 seed, Dixon. The 8 seed is Escalon. 9 goes to Calaveras. The 10 is Center. The 11 seed in Division 4, that one is going to go to Bear River. 12 seed is Somerville. The 13 seed, Modesto Christian. 14 is Amador. 15, Houston. And 16, Hilmar. And we'll go ahead and have our producer, Nathan Shem, will go ahead and put up the Division 4 graphic up on your screen, and you'll be able to see who is matched up there in Division 4. Placer Hilmar has got that first game at the top half of the bracket. Escalon Calaveras, that is a rematch of the championship game from 2 years ago where Escalon beat Calaveras in 2010. Los Banos Somerville, and then Capital Christian Modesto Christian. That rounds out the upper half of your bracket. Meanwhile, in the lower half, Ripon Amador, Central Catholic Bear River, then Dixon Center, and Argonaut Houston. And those are your first round matchups. Hilmar beat Escalon last year. Escalon's made the last 2. They lost last year, one in 2010. Hilmar, currently your reigning champ, they are a 16 seed this year in Division 4. Now turning our attention back to Division 3 and Joey.
Division 3, so starting off with the top seed is Oakdale. Number 2 seed is Vista del Lago. The 3 seed went to Sierra. The 4 seed, American Canyon. 5th seed was Cosumnes Oaks. I apologize. We had discussions about that over there. Cosumnes Oaks. My apologies there to all their fans and students. The 6th seed is Intercom. 7th seed goes to Sacramento and the Sac-Joaquin Dragons. 8th seed is Patterson. The 9th seed is Benicia. The 10th seed is El Camino. 11th seed goes to Manteca. The 12th seed goes to Christian Brothers. 13th seed is River Valley. The 14th seed is Rosemont. And the 15th seed is Lincoln of Lincoln, California. And rounding up this bracket is the 16th seed is Pacheco. So as Nate Schemmel goes ahead and you see the graphic right in front of you, you can see Oakdale was going to be hosting Pacheco, the 1-16 matchup. In the 8-9 matchup, it'll be Patterson hosting Benicia. The 5-12 matchup is Cosumnes Oaks and Christian Brothers. That'll be played Saturday, November 10th at 7 p.m. The American Canyon will be hosting River Valley in the number 13 seed matchup. Number 3 will be Sierra will be hosting number 14 seed Rosemont. Intercom, the 6th seed, will be hosting Manteca, 11th seed. It's the Sac-Joaquin Dragons and El Camino. That's the 7-10 matchup. Sac-Joaquin will be hosting El Camino. And the round off the bracket will be Vista del Lago hosting Lincoln in the 2-15 matchup. A great bracket right there, Jeff.
All these brackets are, football fans have to be salivating here in the Sac-Joaquin section over some of these matchups that we're going to be seeing in these playoff games. Now let's look at Division 2, which is always one of the tightest matchups that you could see always occur in Division 2. So let's go ahead and lay out the 1 through 16 teams for you. The number 1 seed, probably not a surprise to many of you who follow high school football in the Sac-Joaquin section. Folsom gets the number 1 seed. This might be a bit of a surprise, though, for the number 2. Yuba City gets the number 2 seed. The 3 seed in Division 2 goes to Elk Grove. 4 seed is Antelope. The 5 seed, Buhack Colony. The 6 seed, Del Campo. 7 is St. Mary's. The 8 seed, Rio Linda. Vacaville is the 9. The number 10 seed goes to Tracy. 11 is Whitney. The 12 seed, McNair. Rockland gets the 13 seed. The 14 seed, that goes to Ponderosa. 15 to Del Oro. And then the 16 seed is Atwater. And we'll go ahead and put that graphic up on the screen as well, and you'll be able to see the matchups. One thing to note in the Division 2 Division 2 playoffs in particular, Rio Linda will actually be on the road against Vacaville in the upper half of the bracket. Vacaville, a league champion, gets a home game. So even though Vacaville is the 9, they are hosting that particular game against Rio Linda. But Folsom and Atwater, that's the top half of the bracket, along with Rio Linda, Vacaville. Buhack Colony and McNair, Antelope, Rockland, which should be an outstanding first-round game. Elk Grove, Ponderosa, Del Campo, Whitney, St. Mary's, Tracy, and Yuba City, Del Oro down at the bottom, and that is your upper and lower half of the bracket in Division 2. And now Joey will give you the Division 1 teams and then the matchups for Division I, and then we'll move on to the next segment of the show. Go ahead.
So
Joey.
this is going to wrap it up, all the divisions and all the sections here for the Sac-Joaquin section, for the playoffs here in the Sac-Joaquin section. So number 1 seed, probably no surprise to a number of folks out there, number 1 seed goes to Franklin of Elk Grove. They will be, number 2 seed goes to Burbank. The 3 seed here in the Division I is Oak Ridge. The number 4 seed is Downey. 5th seed goes to Granite Bay. The 6th seed is Pittman. 7th seed will go Stagg out of Stockton. The 8th seed is Lincoln of Stockton. The number 9 seed will be Merced. 10th seed Pleasant Grove picks up the 10th seed. The 11th seed goes to Tokay. The 12th seed is Napa. 13th seed is Bethel. The 14th seed is Enox. The 15th seed, Grant. Grant gets in. And the 16th seed to round up Division I, Nevada Union. So as you see the brackets, we get the brackets up. You can see Franklin will be hosting Nevada Union at Cosumnes Oaks High School. The 1-16 matchup, the 8-9 matchup will be Lincoln of Stockton versus Merced. The 5-12 matchup is Granite Bay and Napa. The 4-13 matchup will be Downey and Bethel. Oak Ridge will be hosting Enox in the 3-14 matchup. And then Pittman will go ahead and host Tokay in the 6-11 matchup. That game will be played at Turlock High School. The 7-10 matchup will be Stagg and Pleasant Grove. And then Burbank will be hosting Grant in the 2-15 matchup, which is a great first-round game, I got to say, right? And I know we'll have to talk about these more later, but when I saw that game up there on the bracket, I was really excited to see that one. Should be a good one there, Jeff.
There are a lot of great matchups that we're going to get a chance to break down here on the playoff preview show from Sac-Joaquin Section Headquarters. Jeff Kurtz alongside Joey Gonzalez. We're going to take our first break here on the show, and then we're going to bring on some of the staff from the Sac-Joaquin section and talk a little bit about how they came up with the different seeds, what's the seeding process like, ask them a few questions about some of the matchups and what you can anticipate from the football playoffs. Then at the end of the show, Joey and I will give you our predictions, and there'll be 15 teams in 4 divisions at least, and 5 and 2 others who are going to have some bulletin board material from us after this going, what do you mean you didn't pick us to win the championship? And then 1 team in each division whose coach is going to say, hey, thanks guys very much for giving everyone else bulletin board material. But we're going to dive in and do it that way and invite you to jump on Twitter, Facebook, and let us know what you think is going to happen in the playoffs as well. Folks, you're following the action from CIF Sac-Joaquin Section Headquarters. It's the playoff preview show brought to you by PlayOnSports.com. Back with more in a moment.
We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play On School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play On School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play On School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play On School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's
Back at CIF Sac-Joaquin Section Headquarters, Jeff Kurtz now joined by the Director of Communications for the Sac-Joaquin Section, Will DeBoard, who, after a long day of seating, has taken a few more moments while he still has some energy left to sit down with us and talk about the seating process as you're following the action here from Sac-Joaquin Section Headquarters, the 2012 playoff preview show. Folks, invite you to go ahead and become go ahead and like our Facebook page. Go ahead and become a fan on Facebook. You can go ahead and also jump on Twitter and tweet to us. So if you have a few questions for Will about how the seating process went, we'll see if we can answer a couple of those over the course of this potentially. So We'll see what we get. But Will, thanks so much for joining us. And I guess the first question probably on the those folks who follow high school football in the section and the playoff process in particular, probably pretty familiar with how seeding goes. The coaches, some of the people who've been active in the community for a long time and following this process. But for the casual fan, what do you guys look at in terms of seeding? Because I could look at these and just look at some of the records and who beat whom over the course of the year and think, well, they got a 1, they got a 3, but they beat them, and how does that work? And so can you fill us in a little bit about how the process runs?
Exactly. I'll go ahead and start you at the very first step, and we'll go through Divisions 1 through 4. There are 20 leagues that are part of Divisions 1 through 4. Their top 2 teams, your league champion, your league runner-up, they're going to qualify for the playoffs automatically. That gives you 40 teams. Then you have 24 extra spots that go to anybody with the most overall wins. So you have a third-place team that finished 8-2 or 7-3. That's a really good team. We want to make sure teams like that get into the playoffs. So we end up with a field of 64. There's going to be some, obviously all the 8-2s, 7-3, 6-4s. Some 5-5s get in. What we do after that is we use a strength of schedule kind of mathematical equation. We add up all their opponents' wins, and that determines all of our 64 teams. From then we seed it. We split it up into 16 team brackets, 4 16-team brackets by enrollment. So every year you may have a team that one year they're Division 2, the next year they're Division 1. You're just not totally sure until week 10, and that definitely happened this year. Burbank, I think everybody was thinking, they were going to be in D2. They ended up in D1. And Placer obviously is a big one as well. Everybody thought they were going to be D3. They ended up in D4. There were a couple of interesting results Friday night. We take those 16 teams and we split them. Then we seed them by overall wins. So your 10-0s are going to be at the top of the bracket. Your 5-5s are going to be at the bottom of the bracket. The committee, basically at that point, we try to split up the league opponents. So your league champion isn't playing somebody else from the same league, specifically like a league number 2, at least in the first couple of rounds, and we kind of go from there. We look at league championships. They do get a little extra seed. We look at head-to-head results. We try to keep our ear to the ground quite a bit, hear who's really strong out there. We definitely notice also if a team might be 6-4, 5-5, but you know what? They've lost to 3 teams that maybe were defending state champions last year, really strong teams. That team we kind of keep an eye out for as well.
So how much does strength of schedule play into this a little bit? Because you could look at a team, I look at Division II at Del Oro, who's a 15 team, but they were in a championship game and are perennially in championship games, or certainly battling for them. Yet they're a 15, they have a 5-5 record. How do you handle a team like that?
It's really tricky to handle a team like a Del Oro. You're exactly right. 5-5, they are a league runner-up in the SFL, which is a very strong league. What we try to do there, honestly, is they're not going to move too much. We're not really allowed through our rules to move a team up, 6-7 spots in the bracket or anything like that. But what we do try to do is, okay, maybe there's one team out there that's really kind of perceived to be the number 1 team. We're going to try to make sure, okay, a really strong team like Del Oro, they're probably not going to be playing that number 1 team in the very first round.
And you try to, and in the rules, you try to avoid, we try to avoid any league matchups in the first round? Or, I mean, there are instances, obviously, where you can't avoid it. I'm looking at Division 5 and 6 in particular, where, all the teams are from 2 leagues.
Exactly. And actually in Division, I think it's D5, that's the first time we're going to have an all-league same matchup in the first round. It's extremely rare. We're usually able to avoid it, but at least in D5, because it's a 16 bracket, we didn't do it this time. So
how did this year compare to other years when you've seeded in terms of the difficulty in getting the matchups coordinated and the seeding? Was it a difficult process, would you say, comparatively? Was it an easier process this year? Is it a standard process? What would you say?
Always some interesting discussions in the room, that's for sure. But I think this year at least as difficult as any years past. I mean, you look at Division 4, there are 6 teams that are 9-1 or better, and your seventh seed originally there is Central Catholic. That's an 8-2 league champ. They beat St. Mary's, who's a very strong team that may win D2. We had 8-2 teams all the way down, I believe, to the 12th spot. 12 out of 16 teams are 8-2. Extremely difficult there. Also, Division 2, what to do with Folsom. Everybody's kind of looking at Folsom and Elk Grove there, what to do there. But some interesting discussions. A couple of the brackets kind of came together pretty easily, and as usual, a couple of them were very difficult.
And then how difficult is it, we got a little bit later start, as I mentioned at the top of the show, folks, where we were scheduled to begin at 4, and then we bumped it back to 4:30 because there were some afternoon games that if one team wins, then a whole row of dominoes would have fallen, and then you would have had to reseed a couple different divisions. How big of an impact is that, where you're now, you have to almost prepare 2 different scenarios? Here's a bracket if this team wins, and here's another bracket if they lose in an afternoon game on a Saturday.
We pretty much had that put together specifically for the Rio Americano El Camino game that happened today. That was it just went final probably about 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. El Camino won, but we did have we kind of had an idea that El Camino was going to win. We looked at those in particular, but had Rio won, obviously Rio would have made the playoffs. I think Lincoln out of the PVL would have been out, and we would have definitely had to redraw at least one bracket, if not 2.
And then we might have been starting the show at 5 o'clock as
exactly.
opposed to 4 or 4:30.
Exactly.
Division 2 in the Sac-Joaquin section. There are a few divisions in the state, and there's probably at least one in every section, but strikes me as one of the toughest, arguably, if not the toughest, division in the state. I mean, Pac-5 in the southern section, Division 3 in the San Diego section has always been really, really tough. Division 2, though, in the Sac-Joaquin section not only seems to be a difficult bracket for teams to get through, but would seem to be difficult to seed because there's just about every matchup you could have and set up here that would be a good one and be a tough one for even a number 1 seed in the first round.
My hair's falling out specifically because of Division 2 today. I mean, it was pretty rough. You have Folsom, you have Elk Grove, you have a couple other league champs there. Yuba City's in the mix. Down at the St. Mary's, they're always a strong team. They always play a really strong schedule, and they're always one of our contenders, and they're kind of in the middle of the mix. Vacaville won Division 2 last year. They're a 9 seed, so and again, that's a league champ who's a 9 seed. And then down at the bottom, you have Del Oro and Rockland, 2 teams that went 5-5, but they're out of the SFL, which is right there, if not our strongest football league, definitely number 2. And they played a very tough schedule throughout the entire year. And here you go. I mean, Yuba City, you won a league title, and now you're gonna.
Congratulations! You get to play Del Oro.
Exactly. It's extremely difficult. But I think a lot of those teams in Division 2, they're kind of at least aware that it is a very strong football bracket. They know, okay, we might get a break at some point. We might get a first-round break, but after that, it's going to be extremely difficult.
Well, and as it should be. I mean, if
Yeah.
you want to be crowned a champion, you got to work your way through the. I mean, easy for me to say. I'm not the one who has to do it, nor coach to it out there. We can just get to talk about it, which makes our job fairly simple. But a lot of these teams, I mean, it's really a tough run through the playoffs just to get to the championship game. Yet it seems to be, in recent years, many of these championship games have been very memorable. I think last year where Vacaville beat Folsom, or a couple years ago where Folsom beat Grant, the Escalon Calaveras game was a classic that came down to the final seconds of that one, a field goal winning it for Escalon after Calaveras took a late lead, and that's a first-round matchup. So as a fan now, what do you like? I mean, you start to look at this, and how excited do you get about these, and which games are you going to want to go out and see?
That's good. That's an interesting one. First round, I haven't looked at the brackets like, all right, where am I going to go? Where am I going to go this round? I know, obviously, because I work for the section, I'm going to be at Sac State watching some finals. I know I'm going to be catching some semifinals, probably something in the D2. I'm actually from the southern half of the section. I'm from a D4 school, so there's a good chance I'll be watching a D4 game or two as well. Right away I look at in the second round there, assuming Central Catholic and Ripon win, that's going to be if they both win, that's going to be an 11-1 Ripon team and a 9-2 Central Catholic team that again has a win over St. Mary's and could easily be one of the top contenders in that division.
What about for fans as they're going to these games? What should people know? How should they prepare? I mean, I know that the host schools get to have these games all the way up to the finals, but this is under a Sac-Joaquin Section managed events. So what should fans look for? Ticket prices, all that kind of thing for this year. Anything new on the table for 2012?
I think it's kind of stayed the same. I'm looking to my right. I think it's $10. $10 general admission for adults, and seniors and kids is $6. If I am $7, some director of communications, I'm like looking over here checking with our assistant commissioner, but mainly just go out there and have a fun time. I mean, it doesn't really matter what game you're at. All these kids, they're a lot of seniors out there. They're playing, for a good chunk of them, it's going to be their last high school season. Those 16, 15, 14, 13 seeds, they're just thrilled to be there. Obviously, the 1s, 2s, 3s, they have anticipation to make more, to go on farther, I guess. But really just go out there, have fun, and appreciate your local high school team. And just like in high school, you never know what you're going to see. I mean, we've seen that over and over again this year, and that's been true throughout my game coverage. Is you never know what you're going to see at these games, and that's what makes it really, really interesting. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Will, thanks so much for joining us. Will DeBoer, the Director of Communications for the Sac-Joaquin section, taking a few moments with us, and we're going to bring in the big dog in just a moment. Pete Sacco, the Commissioner for the Sac-Joaquin section, will be talking with us next. He's going to talk a little bit about Divisions 1 and 2 and how the seeding went there. I know Will alluded to it a little bit, but we'll get some of Pete's insights here as the 2012 playoff preview show for the football championships here in the Sac-Joaquin section continues on your destination for high school sports, playonsports.com. Back in a moment.
You can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. You can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. You can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
The 2012 football playoff preview show continues from Sac-Joaquin Section headquarters in Lodi, California. Jeff Kurtz now joined by the commissioner of the Sac-Joaquin Section, Pete Sacco. And as we were on our last break, we actually got our first interaction from Twitter, a question that came in. And Pete, this is perfect for you because we were going to talk to you a little bit about Division I and Division II. First of all, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for hosting the show for us.
Yeah, no problem at all. I mean, we're excited about the partnership that we have covering all the different events in your section. And, you know, one of the things that fans then want to interact, and our first question that came across is, in Division I, Nevada Union getting in as a 16 seed over Davis. How did that happen? How does that work a little bit? And can you talk to us a little bit? Will just did a moment ago about how the seeding process works. But as you factor in these bubble teams, a Davis versus a Nevada Union, how do you make that determination who gets the 16 seed?
Well, what we do is, as Will described to you, in Divisions 1 through 4, we take the top 2 teams from each league are automatically in. And then we take the next 24 based on number of victories. And it always comes down to your 5 and 5s. So if you have a number of teams at 5 and 5, which I think this year we took 9 in, then the deciding factor is the number of opponents' wins. And I think in the situation that was raised by the person on the Twitter account is Nevada Union's opponents' wins were 52, and if I'm not mistaken, Davis had 45. I think the last team that got in was 51 opponents' wins. I'm not sure who that is. So when you get to 5 and 5, that becomes the tiebreaker. You look at your opponent's victories, and the teams that have the more opponents' victories, in theory, have a stronger schedule, so they got the nod.
And that's what happened in Nevada Union's case, getting it over Davis, 52 to 45.
Exactly.
Well, and unfortunate because Davis had a really tough game yesterday, and they fell just 17 to 10, and so so close. And as often happens, that so far they're on the outside looking in.
As long as we have had this system, the 16 victories usually get you in. The 5 and 5s are the bubble schools.
Well, I'll ask you this question. I asked Will this question as well, but having been in the commission the commissioner as long as you have and in the section as long as you have, how was this particular seating meeting today? How did that rank? Was it a kind of standard run-of-the-mill, or was this a little bit tougher this year, a little bit easier this year? What's your take?
I'll say it was standard, run-of-the-mill, and that's very tough. Because when you take a look at our system, it's the best way I can put it is that what the system does is it puts teams in general areas. You have your top 8, you have your bottom 8, you have your top 4, your bottom 4, you have your number 1 and number 2, and then it's our job to make sure the brackets are fair. There's no system that's perfect. We have to understand that right out of the gate. And so we have to move some people around within our criteria to try to make the brackets balance so you have league champs on both sides. And we have a very, I'll say, entertaining conversation on the office or with the staff and the committee as to, moves that we think we need to make the brackets fair for everybody.
Well, and it's interesting. You're tackling something at the high school level that even the colleges won't touch, which is a system for football. And even the NFL, we got our 4 league champs and then the 2 wild cards, and let's go, right? I mean,
exactly.
And you guys don't have to there's no, Granite Bay got the wild card this year, so they're going to be in. I mean, there's none of that. You actually have to seed all of these teams. So there's bound to be some controversy, I would think, at some point or another, even with a system that seems to be working fairly efficiently.
Yeah, there's always going to be some controversy. What I like about our system is it's easy to pick the 64. That's done with a math formula. And then how we place the 16, and then the 16 for 3 and 4 is all done pretty straightforward. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And I think everybody out there pretty much understands what division their school has fallen into. When the issue becomes is when you have different seeds. And we're looking at Cal Preps, we're looking at Max Preps, we're looking at ESPN, all the rankings. And we're usually not too far off, but sometimes there's some tweaking that maybe people might not be ready for. We call a serious injustice. We have that clause, and we also have the clause that Will talked about, not playing your own league opponent in the first round. So you take those into conjunction, put them together, and then we have to do some manipulating. And we have, like I said, some good, healthy discussion about it.
Yes, it's certainly, just listening in, it was certainly, you said entertaining. That
Yeah.
definitely was a good qualifier for some of the debate that goes on, but probably in some ways not unlike a debate the fans would have at home. Hey, how come we're a 4 and not a 5? Or, we were 4 and a 5, but they should be a 3, and da-da-da. I mean, you guys have some of those same conversations here.
Yeah, Will put it pretty good. Our ears to the ground. We know what's going online. We see people coming out with their projections, and we do look at them. We kind of want to see what they're thinking, make sure we're in the same ballpark, which you normally are. John Williams and Will DeBoer do a great job putting the numbers together, and we were working very early this morning. They were working very early this morning on the computers, getting everything ready to go, and then we sit around with the committee and hash it out, in the early afternoon.
Do you ever get time to just be a high school sports fan, given all of your duties and everything you're doing at these different sites? Do you ever get a chance to look at some of these matchups and as you're in the midst of all of your duties as commissioner and go, wow, boy, I got to get myself to this game this week. That's going to be a good one.
It's interesting you say that. Sometimes I'll try to go hide in the corner of an end zone or go stand off to the side and watch the game without having to, as I put it, hold court and answer questions. That's really not what I like to do. So I try to get out to some games and just kind of watch and see what's going on. But sometimes we're working on the back as games are going on, trying to figure out where we're going with next games as we start preparing for playoffs. You have to also understand we have a lot of sports going on besides football right now.
Yeah, exactly. As we're joined by Pete Sacco, the commissioner for the Sac-Joaquin section. Let's talk about that briefly. I know people are tuning in today to find out about football, and in a moment, Joey Gonzalez is going to come back and join us, and we'll talk about who we think is going to win in each of these divisions. But you're right. There's a lot going on. Golf is finishing up. Golf is finished up. You're now moving on to NorCal regionals and such. We've got water polo championships next week, soccer championships, girls volleyball the Thursday of the 15th. I mean, there's a lot that's being managed by the section office right now.
Yeah, I think we have 7 or 8 sports. We just finished girls individual tennis. We have team tennis still going on. Day after tomorrow, we have NorCal Golf at Brookside Country Club in Stockton. Next weekend is a big weekend for us because we have cross country, we have soccer, and we have water polo finals. And then the following week, we have our volleyball finals on that Thursday, which is just prior to the second round of football. After that, we kind of rotate into NorCal volleyball, but then we progress to our football finals, and now with regional football finals, that will go a week later.
And those are obviously big on the plate, right? I mean, how much coordination is required to get all those in place? Even though a lot of them you're going back to venues you've been to before, but how much is required on the back end that fans don't see when they show up to watch the volleyball championship or the water polo championship?
It's a lot of work, but when you have a great staff, when you have a John Williams and a Will DeBoard working with you, and we have site directors out there doing a great job, we get it done pretty seamlessly, I believe. So it all. Thank you to all the people out there that work for us.
And a lot of volunteers as well who manage sites.
Yes.
And we'll be covering the water polo and soccer championships live next weekend. We'll have highlights of tennis, golf that have already completed, team tennis coming up, cross country. We'll have those up on CIF Sac-Joaquin.tv as well. And then, of course, we'll have the girls volleyball championships in addition to more football than you can handle, folks. I think we're going to have a lot coming up over the next several weeks here on CIF Sac-Joaquin.tv.
Yeah. And one of the things I think that the folks out there need to know is that we will not announce our section final sites until maybe semifinal dates. The Division 5 and 6 will be at the Lodi Great Bowl, but 1, 2, 3, and 4, we will not announce those sites. We'll be at Sac State and Lincoln, some combination, Lincoln of Stockton and Sac State. But we won't know which divisions or what days until we get to the Final Four, or maybe that weekend right before the finals.
So the Lodi Great Bowl for Divisions 5 and 6, that's the Saturday after Thanksgiving where those games are taking place, and then November 30th and December 1st at some combination of Lincoln, of Stockton, and Sacramento State.
Yes, exactly.
All right, well, Pete Sacco joining us, the commissioner for the Sac-Joaquin section. Pete, thanks so much for your time. We'll be back here on the 2012 Football Playoff Preview Show on PlayOnSports.com in just a few moments.
We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. me get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. Oh, we're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. Oh, we're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. Oh, we're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. Oh, we're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. Oh, we're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. Oh, we're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. Oh, we're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. Oh, we're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. Oh, we're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. Oh, we're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play on School broadcast program, go to
Jeff Kurtz rejoined by Joey Gonzalez here at Sac-Joaquin Section headquarters in Lodi, California, as the 2012 football playoff preview show continues. And now we get to one of my favorite parts of any playoff bracket. We get to play prognosticator a little bit. See how really good we are at following the high school scene and how we think these whole brackets are going to play out. And like I said earlier, Joey, this is an opportunity where 15 teams are going to have bulletin board material, and one team is going to be sending us a thank you note for giving them bulletin board material.
Oh, absolutely. This is not. Part of the fun is just guessing and figuring out these teams. Some of these teams we know a little bit about, through the history and covering them. Some of them are complete crapshoots. We'll just go out and we'll say, this is you got to go by a gut feeling. And as you said, we'll see some of those teams. There's going to be a lot of there's going to be a number of upsets, and that's the fun of high school sports. That's going to be the fun in covering these playoffs here in the Sac-Joaquin section.
And again, you can check out a lot of these teams because we covered a number of games in the Sac-Joaquin section at all levels over the course of the year. And we'll start with Division 6. Forest Hill is the number 1 seed, Brookside Christian the number 2. The defending champion at the Division 6 level is Bradshaw Christian from last year, but they've moved up to Division 5 and will be playing in that particular bracket. So this is open, and that there will be a new champion this year, and it'll either be one of these 6 schools, obviously, but Forest Hill, clearly the favorite. They were here last year, led by head coach Jim Herlihy. And so Brookside Christian, though, as the 2, it's kind of an interesting route these two teams will be taking, getting a first-round bye, as we'll go ahead and put that graphic up on the screen. If we don't have it up already, we do, I'm being told. Fantastic. So, I'm looking at Forest Hill and Brookside Christian getting to the final, Joey. That's my look. But then who's going to win that game? It'll be interesting to see, given that Brookside Christian was just there winning it a couple of years prior to that, and Coach Grimm out there has built a really nice program at Brookside Christian.
Well, usually coaching experience and championship experience always helps at these levels. You may not need the personnel or the players to get there, even though it may be they may have been sophomores or juniors at the time when Brookside Christian had won, but the championship experience from a coaching standpoint is really what I think makes a difference there. Coach has been there before, knows how to win, has really established himself and really built a program at a school like Brookside Christian. So we were talking about it, debating this, and Forest Hill and Brookside Christian looks like it'll be the matchup. My pick in the bracket here is going to be Brookside Christian.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to watch Ripon Christian if they get out against Elliott Christian. They're kind of my dark horse in this thing, but you can't take away from Forest Hill's home field advantage. It is fantastic. The atmosphere up there is electric from what I've been told. Not having seen it myself yet, but
right.
I'm looking forward to the day when I get to go up and cover a Forest Hill game. But I agree with you. I think Brookside Christian, they've got the edge on Forest Hill. The Forest Hill was just there last year. It'll be an interesting matchup, but I got Brookside Christian winning this one as well.
Right, yeah, I think you said it right there. Forest Hill, there were a lot of things to like about Forest Hill. The fact that they have some of that experience, the fact that they've been there before. But I think that, we've seen these situations where a school can get there a couple of times and it takes them a few times to win it. So that's why I go with Brookside Christian for in Division 6.
Let's now turn our attention to Division 5. And you talk about a school that's been on the cusp, and sometimes it takes a couple of times to win it. Highlands has gotten to this championship game the last 2 years and run into a juggernaut both times. LeGrand, who's won it the last 2 years, beating Highlands consecutively. And then LeGrand made it to the state bowl championship out of that. They fell to Sierra Canyon from the southern part of the state. But LeGrand is a 3 seed this year. They beat Waterford earlier in the year, but because there was a 3-way tie for the league title, and it goes by point differential. If I beat you and you beat our producer Nathan Schemmel and Nathan beats me, it's all the combination of how that works. Whoever had the biggest point differential, that team wins the tiebreaker at the league level, and that's what happened to Waterford. LeGrand beating Waterford 40-20 earlier in the year, but LeGrand won't even see Waterford. They got to get by Golden Sierra first. Of course, they got to beat Rio Vista in the first round, but I still have LeGrand as the favorite in Division 5, and I've got Highlands in a bit of an upset, making it all the way to the championship game with LeGrand winning again and getting their 3rd straight title.
Well, I have Waterford and LeGrand meeting up in the final with LeGrand winning. I think they've beaten Waterford here once before, and Waterford knowing LeGrand having that first round bye, I think, in kind of the looking at the schedule and looking at some of their matchups, I just feel like Waterford and LeGrand, it's kind of set up and destined to wind up that way, 1 and 2. You were talking, so I like LeGrand winning the entire this section, but you were talking about dark horses, and so your upset matchup is my dark horse coming out of this one, Highlands. Just the fact that, as you were saying, they've been there a couple of times. They've been knocking on the door, and they've got to set up a tough schedule. And I think that is a team that you're really going to have to watch out for, and LeGrand's really going to have to keep an eye out for them, because I think they have the potential and the capability of not only winning their first round game against Bradshaw Christian, but knocking off Waterford and getting to that the final all the way.
Highlands certainly has an explosive offense, and you're right. They played Bradshaw Christian earlier in the year, and 61-27 was the final score in that one. And you turned around, and Highlands had put up 3 touchdowns. I turned my attention away from that game to another game that I was watching back at our headquarters in San Diego, where we're based here on the West Coast on PlayOnSports.com. And I looked back at the game a little bit later on, and suddenly 21 more points were up on the board. How did Highlands pull that off? So they definitely have an explosive offense. And that sound you heard was Golden Sierra's head coach taking the MP3 of our last bit right there and playing. He's going to play it for his players because we barely talked about them at all, thinking LeGrand is going to pass them easily. But that extra game and a home game for Golden Sierra may make a difference there for their squad.
Yeah, it absolutely. It just as well could.
Now let's look at Division 4. Again, the number 1 seed in Division 4 is Placer, the number 2 Argonaut, the 3 seed is Ripon, and then the 4 seed is Capital Christian. And Division 4 is very, very interesting. I actually have Placer and Ripon in the final game, with Placer winning, really going out on a limb here and picking the 1 seed to win the championship. But there are a lot of interesting matchups, and in particular, my dark horse is Escalon, who's been here the last 2 years. They won the title in 2010, lost in 2011. They've got a rematch from that 2010 championship game against Calaveras in that first round. I think Escalon is always a dangerous team to face. They're an 8 seed here, but assuming if they were to even get by Calaveras, and I'm sure Calaveras is going to have some measure of revenge on their minds from a couple years ago. Those students who are seniors now watch that as sophomores, or maybe even participated in that championship game. Placer facing one of those 2 teams in the second round, and Escalon in particular, that would make me a little bit nervous if I'm the Placer coaching staff.
Yeah, I believe I think that kind of with you on that standpoint. But I see Placer also coming out of this division as well. Placer beating Dixon coming out of the lower bracket. I think Dixon has had a little bit of has had some magic with them this year, and we were talking about feelings, and just sometimes when you're throwing out these decisions, you just got to go with the gut. And there's just I've got this gut feeling of Dixon telling me that Dixon's gonna come out of that out of this section and meet Placer here in the final. And I think that's probably going to be a breath of fresh air here for Placer. Last night Placer and Center really took them all the way down to the wire, and eventually lost that only by a point. And so Placer was able to keep their undefeated season alive. But But again, I see Placer beating Dixon here to win this division.
You've got Dixon at some point or another. They're Ripon, Central Catholic, Argonaut, and Dixon playing center in the first round all have to go down at some level for Dixon to get to the championship game.
They do.
Look at that. Dixon is being fit for a glass slipper, courtesy of Joey Gonzalez. But I covered Dixon Mesa Verde last night, and Dixon has a very good running attack. Their quarterback, Nolan Williams, can throw, though he's not asked to do that a lot. But if he needs to make plays with his feet or his arm, he can do that. And they've got a very solid squad. And their two running backs are total combined 445 pounds between the two of them. And those are the two big guys. Nick Bonovich was our player of the game. He scored 3 touchdowns. He goes 165. He's a nice counter to the bigger guys who are running the football. So it'll be interesting to watch Division 4. But you've got Placer Dixon with Placer winning. I've got Placer Ripon, and I'm sure Central Catholic, Argonaut, Center, and a few other schools are going to have something to say about that before all is said and done. Now let's look at Division 3 as we continue here on the 2012 Football Playoff Preview Show at Sac-Joaquin Section Headquarters, brought to you by CIF Sac-Joaquin.tv and PlayOnSports.com. Oakdale's the 1 seed. Vista Del Lago has really improved over the course of the year. They're the number 2. Sierra is the 3 seed. American Canyon is the 4. Those are your top 4 seeds. A lot of good schools, a lot of historically good schools. You look at Christian Brothers, Intercom, Sacramento winning today, El Camino winning today. They're going to face each other in the first round. Who do you like, Joey, coming out of this? I'll let you go first this time around in Division 3. Yeah, no problem.
Get people
You're welcome.
Get angry at me here.
Ride those coattails.
Well, for no other reason other than just it's what I like, right? These are my picks and what I think is going to happen here. No rhyme or reason and no other than, a feeling and understanding the teams and knowing some of the teams. I've decided that Casumna Oaks, the number 5 seed, is going to be playing Vista Del Lago here, the 2 seed, for the title, for the section title. And it took me a little bit of wrangling here to try to figure out, which way I was leaning. Because some of the Stokes has been, really, done just a great job here. A newer school, they've only been around, I want to say this is like 4th or 5th, maybe their 4th or 5th season of varsity football, and have been, since their second year of varsity football, have really been just on an upscale note. And so I think this year, also, I want to say the same with Vista Del Lago, a newer school that's just, right from the get-go have pretty much established themselves. And then earlier, midway through the season, they made that quarterback change and have really made the strong move and strong push here towards the playoffs. It's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a great game. But I think Vista Del Lago and their sophomore quarterback is going to go ahead and wrap up Division 3 here.
We have to drive back through Casumnas on the way back. Elk Grove is putting out a lot of good football. They're probably going to be a banner up there say, thank you, Joey.
They may, but I like what Vista Del Lago, the way they've been playing with their, some of their, their swagger. I like, their quarterback play from Vista Del Lago. And so that's why I see them just coming all the way up here to all the way up through through their bracket to the final. But it's never an easy chore.
Sure.
In the Sac-Joaquin section playoffs, and we're going to get to a little bit of that here when we start talking Division 2, but it's not an easy chore to get all the way. But, that's my pick. I haven't heard yours.
That's true.
To hear yours.
And folks invite you to jump in on this as well by going to Twitter and tweeting us at PlayOnSports, or going to our Facebook page, at PlayOnSports Facebook page, and going ahead and giving us your picks. Obviously, people have different opinions, and that's fine. That's what we're doing here. It's part of the fun of high school sports. I still like Oakdale coming out of Division 3. And, again, I know I'm stepping out on a limb because it's my second number 1 seed that I'm picking to win a championship. Also in Division 4, I picked the number 1 seed. But I like Oakdale. And I like Sierra. I think Sierra's got a good run that they can make through the bracket. Getting by Intercom will not be an easy task. Intercom always has a very, very solid program. But I like Oakdale winning this one over Sierra in the championship game. Now let's look at Division 2, and Division 2 is always fun to parse. I'm looking at the first-round matchups here in Division 2. Boy, there are a host of good games that you can find. You could pretty much go to any one of these first-round matchups and find an outstanding football game. Folsom's the number 1 seed. Yuba City's the number 2. When we put our graphic up on the screen, you'll notice we've got Yuba City playing Riverside. That's incorrect. Del Oro fans, you don't have to riot. Del Oro is the number 15. You'll be playing Yuba City in that first round. The 3 seed is Elk Grove. The 4 seed is Antelope. I think this Antelope-Rockland matchup in the first round is going to be outstanding. Antelope has really built a good program. Rockland plays in a tough league, had a big win last night. I think that first game between Antelope and Rockland is going to be really, really good. I've got Folsom and Elk Grove in the championship game, with Folsom winning. I don't know what Folsom does with quarterbacks out their way, but every year they've got a kid who puts up numbers that you couldn't touch if you were playing Madden. I think really Folsom quarterbacks should be the Madden cover for 2013 because everyone else gets the jinx in the NFL. Calvin Johnson only has 1 TD this year. Peyton Hillis is kind of dropped off the face of the earth. He's the last. Why not put the Folsom quarterbacks in at the cover? They're going to be graduating anyway here and then moving on to other pastures. But I like Folsom over Elk Grove in this division. But boy, it is going to be tough. And Yuba City is going to really have home field advantage all the way through the semifinals as the number 2 seed. They are not going to be easy to get past.
Well, I'm telling you what. I agree with you. There are a number of great matchups here, first-round matchups here, shaping up here in Division 2. The Yuba City Del Oro matchup is going to be great. St. Mary's and Tracy, Del Campo and Whitney is one I'm really looking at. I love that matchup here between Antelope and Rockland and the program that Coach Matt Ray has built there at Antelope. Elk Grove and Ponderosa. Ponderosa really had knocked off and surprised a couple of teams coming out of the Delta River League. Elk Grove obviously kind of rebuilding their reputation and getting back up on track here. So a number, and Rio Linda and Vacaville, you can't sleep on that matchup. But I'm going to go with you. I like the idea, the final championship game to come down to Folsom and Elk Grove. Now, you were saying, just the spread offense, the unbelievable quarterback play that the Folsom program has produced. 2010, the national championship, or not national championship, but the state championship. Dano Graves won Max Prep's Player of the Year there, the nation's Player of the Year, followed up by Tanner Chosine, who put up record-breaking numbers last year. Both of those guys are gone, but what's different here this time in their quarterback play this time is he's more of a pocket passer, where those two guys were able to get out and run and use their legs. The difference here with Folsom's quarterback, he sits down there, he sits in the pocket, and he just picks people apart and picks defenses apart. And I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult this time to pick this Elk Grove defense apart, especially if they come with pressure. Folsom's done a great job of protecting him, but I think he's going to get pressured this time against the Elk Grove front line. So I'm picking the upset there and taking Elk Grove to win the Division 2 section.
Yeah, and boy, St. Mary's, you mentioned Del Campo, Whitney, Vacaville, folks, we should point out they're actually hosting that game against Rio Linda. We want to make sure we mention that again. Is at 8-9 because Vacaville won the league title. They are the host for that particular game. But boy, Division 2, fantastic division. Should be a lot of fun. We're going to be covering some of those games as well here on CIF Sac-Joaquin.tv and PlayOnSports.com. So I've got Folsom over Elk Grove. You've got Elk Grove over Folsom. And there might be a sandwich riding on that one at some point along the line. Now let's look at Division 1. And the Division 1 number 1 seed is Franklin of Elk Grove. The number 2 seed is Burbank. The 3 seed is Oak Ridge. The 4 seed is Downey. Those are your top 4 seeds. But, boy, there are a host of good teams in here. Lincoln of Stockton was preseason number 1. Granite Bay is a defending champion. They won last year over Pleasant Grove. Pleasant Grove is the 10 seed. They're playing Stag. And what about Grant? Mike Albergini's program always plays a tough schedule, perhaps not the best year in Grant Pacers history, but you can never count out Grant, and they play Burbank in the first round, and Burbank, though they've had a fantastic year, and Grant maybe a down year for the Pacers, that's not going to be an easy first-round game either. Grant gave Franklin of Elk Grove all they could handle earlier in the year.
Well, they were for Burbank and Grant. They were our former league rivals. They both used to play in the Metro League, I believe, and now I think that because what Burbank has been able to establish and has been able to build here this year, I think Burbank gets that victory. But as we have been talking about a number of great matchups here in the first round here in Division 1, my final comes down to Franklin and Oak Ridge. Was able to watch Oak Ridge last night, and Jason Samuels, a great quarterback. There's been I just love the quarterback play that's been coming out of the Sac-Joaquin section, what I've been able to watch here. And Jason Samuels, I don't know what they have up in the water, up in the foothills there, El Dorado Hills there with Folsom and Oak Ridge. But Jason Samuels, another great quarterback that you can list there and I apologize that the name escapes me, but with the quarterback over at Vista del Lago as well as Folsom. a great trio of quarterbacks. But I think that Franklin has been number one in the rankings here, in the SAC-B rankings here for quite some time. And I don't think that coming down here to the end, I think they're going to show that they were worthy of that ranking. So I'm picking Franklin to beat Oak Ridge here in the final here in Division One.
Yeah, you know, how much history would be wiped away for Burbank, with Grant running roughshod through that league all the years that they did and facing Burbank. If Burbank were to win that first round game against Grant, how much history would that eliminate? You know,
right.
The Giants win the World Series in 2010, and that eliminates a whole lot of history for San Francisco fans.
Right.
You wonder how that would play out for Burbank if they're able to get by Grant. I've got an upset special in this one, though, folks. I've got Granite Bay coming out of the top half of the bracket. Again, the defending champion, and playing Oak Ridge, and Oak Ridge winning that championship game over Granite Bay. But I got Granite Bay making the final. And, you know, Franklin's an outstanding football team. Granite Bay's an outstanding football team. If they happen to meet in the semifinals, that will be a fantastic matchup. But I've got Granite Bay taking that one.
Yeah,
and there's your locker room fodder right there, Franklin. I'm looking right at you right now. That's your locker room fodder. You could put that up, and Granite Bay is. I'm not going to be invited to Granite Bay High School ever again.
Granite Bay had a tough start. Granite Bay had a tough start to their year, but once they got into league, and that's one of the key factors there is they play in the Sierra Foothill League, and year in, year out, it's just a slobber knocker type league.
And the other thing you were saying, both of those.
That just it's always a fight to get out of that, and so that's why I can't fault you on that prediction, that upset special, as you said. But again, I still see Franklin. I could see Granite Bay coming out. You know, for me, it'd be a dark horse. Because coming out of that tough Sierra Foothill League, and the Sierra Foothill League is kind of have a down year because they're all beating up on each other.
You're right.
And they've been scheduling some tough teams here to open up the non-league schedule. I should say, perception-wise, they've had somewhat of a down year. But yeah, Granite Bay, I don't think you can go wrong with selecting a team like the Grizzlies.
Yeah, if you look at their records, I mean, you look at Rockland 5-5, and you think, okay, well, here's a 500 team that's making the playoffs. But if you look at the losses and then you look at the wins, same with Del Oro. I mean, that's not a 5-5 team. You give them any other schedule other than the one that they scheduled, that team's 7-3, 8-2, 9-1, and so I think that battle tested. All those schools are battle tested. You just hope that if you're a fan of those schools, they're not battle tested and tired from beating up on each other all year long.
Right. Yeah. Well, and Del Oro had to deal with it earlier with the loss of Brandon Monroe. Their running back who's headed to San Jose State next year. They had to suffer through some losses without Brandon Monroe. Luckily, he was able to come back, and you could see as soon as he came back. His first game was against Roseville, a game that I was able to cover. First time the kid was out 4 weeks with the knee injury. I believe it was MCL, I believe. He comes back. First time he touches the ball, he's out there for an opening kickoff. Takes the ball 98 yards to the house. So,
so maybe
call
he's
that a
fresh.
Spark there, yeah.
He's fresh after all that. Well, folks, we're going to find out how this all plays out over the course of the next several weeks, culminating with championships in Division 5 and 6 again the Saturday after Thanksgiving. We'll have those games for you on CIF Sac-Joaquin.tv, and then the championships in Divisions 1 through 4 on November 30th and December 1st. We'll have those games for you as well, part of the Play On Sports Network, playonsports.com, and CIF Sac-Joaquin.tv. I'd like to thank everyone here at Play On Sports and also the Sac-Joaquin section for opening up their facility for us today, allowing us to do this first ever playoff preview show from their conference room, this beautiful conference room here in Lodi, California. Pete Sacco, the commissioner, and his staff, thanks to them. I'd like to thank Timothy King, who did all the video for us today, Nathan Schemmel, our producer, Joey Gonzalez, my broadcast partner today. I'm Jeff Kurtz, saying so long from Sac-Joaquin Section Headquarters. Folks, invite you to make your own predictions as well. Let the games begin. They start next Friday. We'll have our broadcast schedule up earlier in the week. All the games we're going to be covering in the first round. It's your destination for high school sports, playonsports.com. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Good night.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot.